Pardon the interruption, but I'm Pablo Torre. Even though my podcast just won a Pulitzer Prize, I am most proud of the work I've done on this show with you, Tony.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I wrote that for him. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, that's good.
Did I not sell that well enough? Did I not sell?
No, you sold it,
Pablo.
Pablo.
Obligated of me? Yeah.
No, on behalf of everyone on this show and other people in the world, I want to congratulate you on the Pulitzer. And then I want to ask you this. Did that sound sincere? Did I mask my jealousy well enough in that? Did it? Because I got so there's Remnick, there's Tom Friedman, there's Woodward, now you. Everybody's got one of these. I don't. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon tapped out a day early, so I'm joined by the host of the Pulitzer Prize-winning podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, our great friend, Mr. Pablo Torre. Well deserved. And we begin today with the New York Knicks easily beating Cleveland last night in Madison Square Garden, 109-93, to take a 2-0 lead in their Eastern Conference Final Series. There was no stirring comeback needed last night. The Knicks were up by 15 in the third quarter. The Knicks have now won 9 playoff games in a row. Pablo, are you allowing yourself to believe that this is the Knicks' year?
If not now, when, Tony? This is it. This is I was going to say this is the best Knicks team I've seen in my lifetime. I was going to then say this is the best Knicks team that I'm sure you've seen in your lifetime, but I don't know if we can get there. I'm curious. Because right now, the prisoner of the moment I am locking myself inside of is they've been point differential-wise better than any team in a 9-game stretch that's ever been. And so if you're looking at this series and you're looking at how good, of course, Brunson has been, and how good Bridges has become, and Towns is the best version of himself. And then you're looking at what we'll talk about later, the Rock'em Sock'em Robot injury-plagued series that is becoming Spurs Thunder. This is how it would happen. It with the capital I and the T and all the buses and the parades.
Yeah, so, right now, I believe that both teams in the Western Conference are better than the Knicks. They're better. But if the Knicks beat Cleveland, and it looks to me like it's going to be a sweep, but if the Knicks beat Cleveland, it's not like they have to face both San Antonio and Oklahoma City one after another. They only have to face one of them, and the Knicks are playing the best basketball in the world right now. And as you say, that plus 212 differential over the last 9 games is not only the greatest, 212, it's not only the greatest differential in playoff history, it's regular season too, of all time. So you asked me about teams that I love with the Knicks. I remember very well both Knicks championship teams, obviously because I'm old. I favored the first one over the second one. But you have to understand, I'm looking at it through the eyes of a teenager and a fan at that point, but I thought they passed it better than any team ever. I thought they shot it better than any team ever, and that was, of course, Reed and DeBusschere and Frazier and Bradley and Barnett. Now, interesting, I've said that to Wilbon, and Wilbon, a couple of days ago, talked to Walt Frazier about this in New York. And Walt said he felt the next Knicks team, the second championship team with Earl Monroe, had more talent, but that the first one was more of a team. They personified what a team is. And I will live with that. And I'll also say this, anything can happen in a finals. You're not saving anything for the next series because this is the last series. The Knicks can win. And I wonder about this. I know you want to jump in. You can when I'm done. The atmosphere in Madison Square Garden in New York City, are they prepared for that from San Antonio and Oklahoma City? I think it could be intimidating. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't drop a name like Clyde Frazier in terms of who I've been consulting. I've been talking to my friends from high school, and we have experienced only the trauma of would-be Knicks fans who are not even sure, can we really enjoy this, even though it looks and feels like this is what a championship run would look like. But if you are a Knicks team that is just on the couch waiting and resting, and you get to be at full strength while your opponent is not. Look, as much as I love the peak performance version of the Knicks right now, I also just acknowledge that it's a war of attrition. And I'm not even saying that the Knicks are not benefiting from the roulette wheel spinning favorably, because of course that's exactly what's happening. But man, I think a shocking thing might happen, which is that this team, which no one had winning the title, might be the Knicks team to actually break the spell. And so, Tony, Should we talk about the Western Conference Finals now? Or should I leave room? Okay, because I think the story has to move to San Antonio tonight. Because Jalen Williams is listed as questionable for the Thunder, while De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper are game-time decisions for the Spurs. These are the injuries we've been talking about. And the series is tied at 1 game apiece. And so, which team faces more pressure to win Game 3? Is it the Thunder or the Spurs?
So let me just say that I don't really think that a Game 3 is all that important because it's not an elimination game, and the worst you're going to be is down 2-1. I can make the case that there is less pressure on San Antonio because San Antonio has already won a game in Oklahoma City. So if they have to go back there, they can win a game. If San Antonio were to win this game, that puts all the pressure on Oklahoma City. I mean, I think that's obvious because then San Antonio would have won games in both venues. But if you ask me honestly, I think there's more pressure on San Antonio. And I think that because there's more pressure on Victor Wembanyama than any basketball player alive when he walks on the court. Because everybody is watching and everybody's expecting and everybody is being judgmental. So, and also, Oklahoma City, they've won a championship. They know how this works. San Antonio can only guess at how it works. You mentioned all of these injuries. If both those guys, if Harper and Fox cannot play and the ball handling responsibility defaults to Stephon Castle, if I have this number correct, it's an unbelievable number. He has 20 turnovers in the last 2 games. That's like James Harden land, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, Wembanyama, I mean, just to remember what it was like in Game 1, we did coronate him, and it was logical to do so. There was this Deus Ex Wembanyama moment where it's like, oh, just he's going to save us. And so now the pressure, I agree with you here, the pressure is going to be, well, what happens if someone can't get him the ball in the way that he likes it? What happens when he has to create more than his comfort zone normally allows for? And so if you're the Spurs, look, the Spurs, Dylan Harper is incredible at age 20. He is so special. He would be a lead story if not for the aforementioned 7'5", 20-something-year-old himself. And so for me, the question is, if you're the Spurs, do you think you should win? Because if you think you do, you need this one, and you need to prove that you don't need to be at peak performance, full strength, because the Thunder, by the way, they have depth beyond depth. Your problem is not their problem in terms of the shallowness of your bench.
I'm just going to go back to this one statistic, though, that if you lose, if you're San Antonio and you lose, you've beaten this other team 5 times this year. You already beat them in Oklahoma City. You've proven that. I don't think they're in terrible trouble if they lose. I think Oklahoma City is if they lose, but not San Antonio so much. Let's move to the NFL and Matthew Stafford. The reigning MVP has just signed a 1-year, $55 million extension, which adds a year to the $50 million deal he has for this coming season. The indication then is Stafford will play 2 more years for the Rams, who used the number 13 pick in the most recent draft to take quarterback Ty Simpson. Pablo, does this extension quiet the questions about why the Rams drafted Simpson, or does it raise more?
I think it raises more. I mean, the question I have is, so you guys are doing the Jordan Love thing? Question mark. You get this guy in the first round. He sits for 2 years while the most cost-effective, cheapest years on his contract on that rookie wage scale are draining away. And then he comes and takes over. Now, that worked for them, for the Packers. It typically is really difficult because, of course, the NFL salary cap is merciless in its constraints. And so I remember, Tony, when they took Ty Simpson and Sean McVay in that presser next to Les Snead was not exactly visibly excited about this. And everything he said after that was because he wanted to protect Matthew Stafford and his legacy and his feelings. And so here's the protection. They gave him another year. The question is, will they stick with him for 2 full years as opposed to just giving him the thing because guess what, you might get the hook pretty soon?
So I view this a little bit differently than you do. And the first thing I would say is that it seems to me that Sean McVay knows a little bit about offense. And I think it's possible that he sees something special in Simpson that perhaps other teams drafting did not see. And he has the luxury to wait on Simpson because the other luxury he has is a great quarterback. And if Matthew Stafford's feelings were hurt, and I would understand that, I think when you give him $55 million for another year, that sort of soothes some of that pain, right? It soothes some of the pain. I'm old enough, Pablo, to remember when quarterbacks were drafted, even first-round quarterbacks were drafted, and they did not play right away. There was an apprenticeship of 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 years. Aaron Rodgers waited 3 years before he got in there over Brett Favre. Steve Young waited 4 years for Joe Montana. These are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Now, if your team stinks and you don't like your quarterback, you're going to play the quarterback right away. The Rams are contending. They're a Super Bowl contending team, and they have a great quarterback. So they don't have to do that. It seems to me, in a best case scenario, you're going to turn to Simpson when Stafford is not there. And I think it's fair to say that last year, Stafford ruminated publicly as to whether he would retire. So if you're the coach of that team, you say, whoa, I've got to be prepared. I've got to be prepared in that eventuality, so let me grab a kid, right?
Now, I will simply remind you that I am looking into the camera and seeing a man who often muses about retirement, and I think would not take money as the solution to his insecurity about someone trying to take his job. I just want to point that out. Okay. It might not be as easy as that dynamic might suggest.
That's fair, but I can't imagine that Matthew Stafford has anywhere near the insecurities or anxieties that I have. I just don't think he does. He's an MVP of the league and a Super Bowl winner. Let's take a break. Coming up, should we blame rust for the Hurricanes' first loss of the playoff? Rust never sleeps, baby. Never sleeps.
And what sort of interest is it okay to have in this weekend's enhanced games in which steroids are welcome?
Neil Young reference. Everybody get that? You old enough for Neil Young, Pablo? You don't know Neil Young.
Yeah.
You know, Steve. Time to find out what's on the minds of the minions in mail time. That's 3 M's. I'll put on my glasses and I'll get the first one. Would you chalk up the Hurricanes' first loss of the playoffs to rust?
I don't think you need to be an investigative reporter, Tony, to look at this game last night where the Canadiens won 6-2 and factor in the 11 days off that the Hurricanes had. 11 days off being more than we have seen since, I believe, the 1920s or thereabouts. And so for me, this was a team in the Hurricanes that had given up 10 goals in 8 games. And that first period was a debacle in ways that were both qualitative and quantitative. And so I'm looking at the variable, what's different? It's the 11 days. So yes, my detector indicates, a little bit of rust.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that because there was an 11-day lapse. You know, you can't simulate a real game when you practice. Their coach, Rod Brindamore, said the same thing. This is a direct quote. We clearly were not ready for that pace. Carolina had won 8 straight, as you're saying. And by the way, they had the first goal last night. They scored 33 seconds into the game. But at the end of the first 20 minutes, they were looking for the barf bag because they had given up 4 goals at that point, and Carolina got blowed out. So again, it's safe to hide behind the notion of rust. I'm not sure that then takes into consideration what Montreal has done on the road in these playoffs. They are 7-2 on the road. They are a monster on the road. This is the 3rd team they have done this to in a series. So if you just say it's rust, I don't think you're looking at the whole picture here. I really don't. Montreal, you can't stop them on the road. Can't stop them, right? It's not just rust.
No, they're really good. It's just 11 days is crazy. I haven't done PTI in months.
Nailed this.
That's the equivalent.
Yeah. Well, you said I think it hadn't happened since 1919. I was like a sophomore in high school in 1919. What's your level of interest in the enhanced games?
I perversely am fascinated, and I'm conflicted by the rubbernecking I'm going to do. For those not familiar, the enhanced games are basically the Olympics. You've covered many Olympics, but with steroids. And you've covered many Olympics with steroids, just never as a function of the actual promotion at hand. And so it's $1 million if you break a world record. It's happening in Vegas. There's a store, Tony. I don't know if you know what peptides are. You can buy peptides. You can buy this special regimen of testosterone. It's a business with, in fact, a public company that's going to allow them to monetize what has been, until now, truly something that sports did not want, and now it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's like the Nugenics Olympics at this point. You're allowed to get completely roided up, right? That's okay. All those drugs are out there for you, all the performance-enhancing drugs. So I would assume and I'm told they're giving out a lot of money if you break a world record, it's time for Ben Johnson to come back and see if he can get that world record now that it's okay to use all sorts of performance-enhancing drugs. I have a level of interest in the Olympic Games, not so much so far for the enhanced games, which seem like a made-for-TV special. It seems to me sort of like the President's Cup when compared to the Ryder Cup. But, I don't know how to truly look at this. The guy I think I have this right, the guy who was in charge of the United States Anti-Doping Association has called this,
Travis
and I'm quoting here, a clown show. A clown show. So to me, at the moment, and I'm glad you're going to watch, I'm glad you're interested in it, to me, at the moment, it feels like the hot dog eating contest on July 4th. It doesn't feel like sports, really. It doesn't feel like
they call it the Apollo program for modern times. I'm not co-signing that. I'm there because I think this will be a wreck, and I can't look away. That's probably going to be where I am on this.
That's fine. Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come, some reflections on the sudden death of a NASCAR legend.
And could Jeff Van Gundy be the next coach of the Portland Trailblazers? Ben Johnson, though.
The NASCAR thing, when I first saw that this morning, that's jolting. That's absolutely
I thought
41 years old.
I was like, oh, this is fake. Yeah, this is a fake headline.
41 years old. You just don't ever expect something like that.